And so my first thought on the Tilly Norwood situation is that, isn't it interesting how the news outlets, the big news outlets, kind of pushed this all at the same time, and now it's in the conversation. And so, of course, it trickles down, and YouTubers are talking about it, and actors and actresses are getting upset and bringing a lot of attention to themselves over this thing, which I kind of understand. It's their job, even though a lot of people are tired of Hollywood. Hollyweird. The movies haven't been so good lately, but maybe there's a reason why this is being pushed in the context of Hollywood. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Tilly Norwood is the name that's been given to a program, AI program that looks like a person, talks like a person, and I guess in this context is being marketed to movie makers to possibly replace an actress. They can replace actors and actresses with these programs. That's the idea. That's the conversation. And so it is wild. I mean, I will say it's kind of startling, really, when you think about it. But in the context of Hollywood, why is it being put in the context of Hollywood? Because as I said before, a lot of people are tired of the Hollywood actors and the movies and all this stuff right now, and more people really watch YouTube than movies. If I think, right? And it's just interesting because when I look at this AI program, I saw a lot more. I don't really see an actress. I see they're trying to mimic this right here. The monologue. I'm sitting in front of a camera talking. This has become the town square. This is where we're able to share our thoughts, share our ideas. There's a dialogue in the comment section. There's other people that are going to make videos. You can make your own video talking about things, and we're sharing our ideas around the internet, but it's kind of like the town square, right? I see these things mimicking this. It's just like what I do here. You know what I mean? So to me, it's not just Hollywood. It's this is something, you're going to be watching YouTube. You're going to be watching a YouTube channel. You say, this is inspirational. This is interesting information. And then you kind of realize maybe later on that the character that's on that screen is not even a person. It's an AI program, right? There's a lot of questions. The implications are a lot deeper than just Hollywood movies, right? That's how they introduce these things. They introduce a lot of things in movies, right? They introduce a lot of things in movies that later on become reality. Look at Minority Report, right? That's a movie, but if you look at some of the things that like Palantir is talking about, it's very similar to that, right? But it was introduced years and years ago in a movie. So they use Hollywood and they use things in reference to Hollywood and actors and things like that just to bring ideas into the consciousness or bring ideas into the conversation to get people talking about it. Probably also to gauge where people are at on this. Now, I don't think a lot of people are accepting of this, and mostly I've seen backlash. I'm not a big fan of it, The Hollywood actors aren't a big fan of it. Obviously, it's their job that's possibly in jeopardy, just like a lot of other jobs that are possibly going to be changing drastically or disappearing completely. I don't think a Hollywood job would disappear completely, an actor and things like that. There's always going to be a market for real people, I think. But, they didn't have a problem with the de-aging that would allow them to work into their 90s, acting like a 40 or 50-year-old. But, I get it. It's an issue. But yeah, I'm more concerned about the town square being infiltrated by AI, right? Like dead internet theory type stuff. Already on YouTube, there's a lot of AI content. And I kind of wonder sometimes, have I seen videos that I wasn't paying attention to? And, it's not even really a person. Maybe there are content creators out there that aren't real. This is why I like doing, like on my other channel, I do live streams and we connect, we connect with people. It's not just some person sitting here doing a monologue and video. It's a real person. But how many channels out there are now or will in the future be completely AI programs, And then, so what will be the purpose of these things? To give what kind of narrative, to give what kind of thoughts, for what reason, right? I've talked about, I think that we're being used to build something bigger. I don't know if it's like this big digital prison or what it is, but I think something bigger is being built with the AI and stuff. Now, I think some of the AI stuff is blown out of proportion. I think some of it is marketing, actually. If you can say that this thing is going to be the next, terminator or whatever, it's going to take over the world. It just kind of means that it's powerful, and that that it has a lot of value to people who are trying to do big things with the AI, as tools. And so some of it's tools, some of it's just a search engine. Of course, when you're talking about programs that look like people, now that could be different. I saw some of the news anchors, they were getting upset about it, and they were like, yeah, this could take our jobs. And it's like, well, it could. There are stories that maybe there are stories that are going to be coming out that a human news anchor would never really be able to, with a straight face, actually give that story without injecting some level of emotion or even, you can see on somebody's face, 90% of conversation of communication is kind of in nonverbal cues. And it's you can read an article as a news anchor, you can read out your script or whatever. And if it's a terrible thing that you're reading, a terrible thing, as a human, there will always be that little like cue, and people will be like, man, he's having a hard time reading that. So maybe stuff's coming that they're going to want to need AI generated news anchors for. It's totally possible. It makes me think of the Terminator, right? Where they used dogs to determine who was real and who wasn't, because the dogs could always spot the machines, right? And so they had these dogs and then these machines that were coming in that were the, artificial human looking machines. The dogs would bark at them and stuff and identify them. So there's going to be ways, we're going to have to come up with, of course, ways to identify. I think now it's pretty easy, but it's going to get better and better. The technology is going to get more and more, advanced, obviously. They're using us as models. And this is why I say we're probably building something bigger. I don't know, but they're using everything that we do as models to build this AI, something artificial. Just goes right along with what we've been talking about on the channel with artificial things replacing real things. This whole idea of artificial intelligence. Is it really artificial intelligence, or is it an apparatus that's going to be used by intelligence to do something else? I don't know. You know what I mean? And of course, we'll get into that. That's part of the reason that the name of the channel is called Real Thoughts Project. And it works both ways depending on how you say it. And that's the reason I did that, because it's real thoughts from real people. This is the town square. And when it's infiltrated, we're being infiltrated by AI already. So many videos out there, dead internet theory, all that stuff. It just gets you thinking. So definitely the story gets me thinking, but I'm also always going to question, why is it being pushed the way it is, when it is, and in the manner, like, right now, and they're talking about Hollywood. Okay, is this going to make people accept it because, well, forget those Hollywood actors, they deserve it. Well, dude, if you have a YouTube channel and you do monologues, that's the same, this thing could more easily replace you than a Hollywood actor. So yeah, just stuff to think about, guys. Man, it does make you think. It does make you think. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'm going to leave it there, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Consider like, subscribe to the channel. If you haven't, take care.